Hello and welcome to Off the Stage Podcast. I'm James, this is Conor, this is Ritch.
Thank you for listening, we'll see you next week.
Oh, it's what ChatGPT told me to say at the introduction.
Right.
Just, hello, I'm James, this is Conor, this is Ritch.
Why have you been talking to robots again, James?
I don't know, because I'm lonely. No, I'm not really.
You went on holiday and you had an affair with a robot.
You did that Long Island.
Oh, yes. God, have you ever been to Prague before?
No, never.
Well, there's a robot bar in Prague where you're basically on a computer, like a McDonald's self-service thing. You do that, and there's like a robot arm that makes you the drink. And I asked for a Long Island iced tea, and it was by far the worst Long Island iced tea I've ever had. Do not let robots make cocktails. And should we start this properly, because I feel I've just.
I love our podcast.
Anyway.
So welcome guys to our special episode. And why is it a special episode? Because since the last time we recorded, James is a year older. Woo! Yeah. Happy birthday, James.
Oh, we were winning 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no one cares. Take the applause.
That's fair enough, thank you very much.
It's also our 52nd episode, which sounds like now, but it's our 1 year anniversary. Yeah. So, as a change, we went for something different. We haven't got a musician as say, but we've got somebody who's very, very involved in the Northeast music scene. We have Ritch with us. If you're not watching, then I'm pointing at Ritch. Ritch are you manager, supervisor, HMV? Supervisor, HMV, and does a lot of the live and locals for HMV Newcastle. And welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
He gets one of these. It's like the highest accolade. It's the highest accolade anybody can give for Off the Stage Podcast. It's getting copyrighted, isn't it?
No one. I want to see how long you're going to let that ring. It just sat there and awkward like, okay.
I know, I might need to shorten it down, but yeah, that's the highest. We offer that to like the best. I mean, we had it last week, just like my new thing, but I'm going to make it so that is the highest accolade we can give a guest.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much appreciated.
Yeah. Well, welcome back. Obviously, we've had you on briefly before. HMV Live and Local at the end, and we've mentioned you quite a lot on the podcast. I think you're our top spoke about person that isn't a musician.
I don't know that isn't a musician. Yeah. I was going to say there's Scott Kears. So
yeah, he's not been mentioned recently.
No, he hasn't.
He might be making an appearance soon. Who knows? He comes back from Merca.
Yeah, we're going to struggle with guests to go. Oh, we'll get Scott on.
It's standard, isn't it? So first and most importantly, guys, what are you drinking?
Jack and Coke.
Oh,
it's something that I've drunk for probably, how old am I? 42, 20, 25 years at least.
Wow. Guess you don't get a hangover if you don't stop there.
It's musician inspired as well. Like I'm from South Shields, and there's a rock band called the Wild Hearts, who are like thought of as a South Shields band or a Newcastle band if you're not from sort of the Northeast. And idolised their bass player Danny, and he was just famous for drinking Jack and Coke. He then got famous for trying to smuggle heroin from Japan.
I hope you stopped at the Jack and Coke.
So I've never ventured into that. But no, it's always been Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
It's Lemmy's drink and all.
Yeah. Lemmy was probably the most famous one.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra is probably the most famous like Jack Daniels drinker. So I've got a collection of different Jack Daniels at home, but it's my go-to drink.
Fun fact:
role models.
You can go on a Jack Daniels tour, but the Jack Daniels distillery is in a dry state, so you can't actually drink the Jack Daniels on the Jack Daniels tour.
That's not a fun fact.
It's completely opposite of fun, isn't it?
I'm at Cadbury's World in a week, and I'd be livid if I can't have it.
Imagine if chocolate was illegal.
I've got an apple sour.
I love them.
Basically, a pint of
heartburn.
Fucking apple sours that you used to get, the little shots.
Yeah.
A pint of that with a couple of Haribos in the bottom.
Well, I'm on a Schofferhofer. They brought back the grapefruit. Oh. Love good Schofferhofer. Schofferhofer. Yeah. Don't know what else to say. That's the end of that
story.
It's a grapefruit beer. So.
Yeah. So it's great to have you on.
Thank you.
How long have you been doing the whole live and local? And how did that start?
It started basically once we'd been taken over, and once the new managing director was like settling into the job. Really good bloke called Phil Halliday, who was sort of the new guy once the new Canadian owner took over. Like the old sort of MDs were kind of like pushed to one side sort of thing, and this new guy was brought in a lot younger. When he turned up to the Newcastle shop, he turned up in sort of like shorts, t-shirt, backpack, just not someone who you would ever thought is in like that high of a job in a company like ours. And then I think it was his idea that we start focusing on local bands again, because it was what we used to do a long time ago, where we would sell local artists' albums, you know, but that kind of stopped for quite a while. And then in 2019, we started off sort of HMV, live and local, where originally it was you would get an artist in, do all the legal work so you could sell their CD or their vinyl, have them in to play and promote it, but then something else happened in 2019 and things kind of got paused in 2020.
What happened?
Someone hit a bat.
Wow.
And then
James.
the world
that
shuts
was
down.
me, sorry.
It's normally like sheep heads, isn't it?
Asking for bread to make sandwiches. It's so it kind of paused in 2020. I started doing it in our store because the band who I've just mentioned, Wild Hearts, they did a sign-in in our shop, and I was like, I'll organise everything. And I think we had something like 250 people through the door for that.
Cool.
Everything ran smoothly. The singer's known to be a bit difficult at times, so like that tour manager phoned us in the morning and going, can Ginger bring his dog? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like midway through the sign, like, oh, I'm hungry, can you go and get a Greg's run? And like, yeah, of course. Like, for a band that's meant to be sort of difficult, everything was fine. They were really nice. They stood and talked to everyone. Like,
that's cool.
Everything went fine. So when Live and Local came up, I jumped at the opportunity to do it. I've always gone to gigs. I've always been around musicians since I was at college. So just really enjoyed it. And like, you two know better than most people that...
We're listening here. Sorry guys, James interrupting.
You two know that musicians don't work on a 9 to 5 schedule.
No, it's like a 9 till 9 the next day.
Yeah. So when you're trying to organise stuff, you've got to be happy with getting messages at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, or you have someone who might have been on the podcast last week who tries to phone you at 1:15 in the morning just to say thank you. Cheers, Jude.
That's because that wasn't me.
I was going to say, who was that?
James drink dialing you in Poland.
So yeah, it's originally started in 2019. The first thing I did was contact people who I knew. So there's a guy called John who we used to work with, who's in a band called Dunes, who's like a bit of a stoner rock, like deep South American rock band, really good. They were our first one.
Name rings a bell, actually.
Then we had...
been our gig guide recently.
Maybe. You do the gig guide, not me, I think so.
Yeah, but you read it, James, don't you?
I do, yeah. Kind of.
Then we... one of our lads used to live with an artist called Catherine Williams, who was nominated for Mercury Award for her first album, I think it was, first or second album. Like, really well-established singer-songwriter, and she's absolutely fantastic and she's lovely. So I asked her, and then kind of like built from that. Like 2020 was a pain because I had to cancel I think 16 bands and then postpone things until Boris said that the rest of us can have gatherings inside. But then I think last one we had was Seasons, and they were 115th.
It's a lot of bands.
With probably about another 50 or so to go this year.
Yeah, Jesus. You don't realise how many bands there actually are in the Northeast. No, it's mad that. I'm assuming some of them are like duplicates though, like they've came back twice.
We've had Dunes twice. Obviously in India we've had 3 times. I think she did 2 solos and once with a band. No, one band, solo band, and a couple of others we've duplicated, but I try not to.
To give everyone a chance.
There's quite a few bands from sort of like outside the area who've messaged wanting to do it as well, and there's a couple that I've said yes to. So like the day that we did when we had Jimmy and Steve, who travelled up from Lincoln, like I said to them, it's a fair trek. If you want to come and do it, then that's great, and I'll support you, sort of thing. But they were happy enough to spend 3 hours on a train, come up and do like 20 minutes of performing.
Commitment, that like.
So stuff like that is fine, but because there's that many bands now who want to do it, I try to not do anything from outside the area. It's called live and local, and if you're coming from sort of like Manchester or somewhere, then it's not local anymore. So I'd rather try and help the people from nearby.
You say that I'm trying to get into like every HMV.
Yeah.
In Birmingham on Saturday.
I have noticed that. I mean, you could do like a full like tour around the UK just by doing HMV gigs. It's good opportunity, really. It's like
there's someone who's trying to do all of the Scotland shops. I can't remember his name. Nick Shane, I think it is, but he's trying to do all of the Scotland shops.
Right.
So it's a great thing for people to advertise, but when there's that much sort of talent around, sort of like tiny weird sort of thing, then I don't really need to try and look further.
I think what's crazy is how obviously we see a lot of it advertised up here because we're from here, and you get loads in. I think you say only Carlisle's the only one that's had more than yourselves.
Yeah.
But the likes of Sunderland, they're starting to do it a bit more. Gateshead put it on here and there. But like when I went down to Birmingham to speak to it, they were like, "Oh, we don't actually get that many interested because there's nowhere to park. You have to bring your own amps from wherever you can park in." And I'm just going to turn up with my busking kit anyway and just do like acoustic set. And fair enough, it was an absolute ball ache when we did it last time because the lift was broken. We had to carry everything up the flights of stairs.
You smashed your sign.
Yeah. But it's kind of crazy that it's not as noted around the rest of the UK. I
think because of the troubles that HMV had, a lot of people kind of forgot that we existed.
Yeah.
When they went through 2 administrations, we had to shut some stores because they weren't making enough money to cover rent, and landlords wouldn't sort of decrease rent or really sort of help with. So a lot of shops shut. But then Doug took over. Stuck Phil in charge, and everything's doing fantastic. Announced last week we're reopening Belfast.
Oxford Street as well, isn't it?
Looking at European stores, and then, like I say, reopening Oxford Street. And like Oxford Street was an absolute fortune for rent for a year. Like I know what the Northumberland Street one was when we were there. Yeah, and I think Oxford Street was like 3 times that.
Yeah.
Not going for the prices, but is it a lot cheaper to go Eldon Square than Northumberland Street?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think Eldon Square would have been a bit more.
I think Northumberland is one of the highest rates in the country.
It's
really?
I think it was second or the third highest rent in the country.
Wow.
And that's the store was like falling apart physically.
Yeah.
And especially with sort of like the way that the business was going, it was a gigantic shop. And not just the shop floor space, but the back of house.
Where was it again?
Massive.
I remember going to it.
JD Sports is now.
Yeah, it's.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
It's like kind of right bang in the middle.
What used to be where Primark is?
Oh, that was.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, throwbacks now for like 20 years.
It was another clothing shop. It was something like. It was something like British Home Stores.
I think it was British Home Stores. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, HMV, the past few years, you just walk in the shop and you see like an instant transformation of what it used to be, where it was basically CDs and DVDs. Now it's all like memorabilia and stuff like that. Now it's like it's completely like the shift of kind of like it's. I think they've found the niche.
Yeah, the sort of umbrella that it's under is the phrase pop culture.
Yeah.
In our company, pop culture is like essentially it covers all current popular stuff. You know? So when you've got things like K-pop is literally setting the world on fire, and you get all the K-pop albums in, they'll sell at like 25-30 quid or more a time.
It's
you know,
mental that fucking K-pop, honestly.
It's your favourite band, isn't it?
Yeah,
favourite genre, whatever it is.
I don't know what it is about K-pop fans. I'm just like, I don't know. Anyway,
that dedicated. I mean, it's totally not my genre at all.
No.
But it's a really dedicated fan base, and they're a dedicated fan base who is buying physical releases.
Yeah.
And for a company that's like survives on like physical product, you know,
That's a big thing.
Maybe you need to start your own genre.
I should start my own.
Call it J-pop.
J-pop.
And like see how many people are like, oh, I'm on the J-pop bandwagon.
That's not
You
bad.
won't regret it, will you?
I could do a K-pop song. I think I'll have to listen to K-pop first though.
That's J-pop.
J-pop.
Yeah, J-pop.
Isn't that Japanese pop though?
I was thinking like James Berry pop.
Yeah, my own.
Make your own genre.
God,
Take
that'd
over
be mental.
HMV with J-pop section.
Yeah.
You're the pop figures of the James Berry and the best ever folk rock band ever.
I'll do it. Right, there we go. Heard it here first.
Yeah, J-pop.
J-pop.
That's your new merch, that.
Yeah, J-pop.
J-pop on t-shirts.
Yeah. Don't tempt us, honestly. I've got loads of t-shirt ideas.
Yeah, he's going to have an entire like store when he does his gigs next year.
Yeah, that's
It's my plan eventually. Just need the products first. But yeah, it's crazy how HMV's developed, because it's one of them when you grow up you think, oh, it's the HMV, it's the music shop. There isn't really a competitor you'd think of.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone through that many different competitors. I mean, I did work experience when I was a kid at school in Our Price, which you're probably too remember Our Price. I did my work experience in Our Price in South Shields, and then you had sort of Our Price was taken over and renamed as Zavvi. Zavvi just trades online now, and there's loads of different ones.
There was
That's
one.
Entertainment and JVC.
I remember
and,
That's Entertainment.
uh,
Granger Games is good.
MVC, that was it, not JVC.
There's one.
Silver Screen, and
There was one in Sunderland that was the main competitor. It had like blue lighting. I can't remember what it was now. But I remember the CDs were usually a little bit cheaper, but there wasn't as much selection because it was a smaller shop. It was a Music Zone or something like that.
Music Zone.
Music Zone, yeah, that's Music Zone, that must be it.
that was sort of like roughly when HMV was kind of at its peak and would fight competition sort of thing. So we would have to like competitor check Music Zone to see what they were selling, and then we would like mark ours down.
I used to see
competitive, you know.
the sneaky people in a HMV with the coats kind of going into Music Zone, like checking there what stock you've got on that.
There was a couple of our sort of like our old staff, I think, worked in Music Zone. So you'd literally just walk in with a bit of paper and go, all right, I'm just checking your prices.
Yeah.
Because everyone knew what you would do.
Yeah.
Like most of the time, staff were fine. You might get the odd sort of like dirty look or like occasionally sort of chased out. But
It's professionalism in it. That's
Yeah.
what they do.
We used to get that with we used to work at Start Football, and used to get all the Sports Direct people coming in checking the prices.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we used to know who they were as well. I mean, I wasn't bothered. It's like, yeah, your prices are going to be cheaper than us anyway because you're flipping Sports Direct. But it's always funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
The music like competition.
I still think you should be selling guitar strings. I'm just
I'll keep trying.
definitely.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you which ones to sell, and I will be your number one purchaser. They'll be like, oh, Ritch, this is a great idea. How come we made £7 million in the space of a week? Well, we have got one guy who turns up after every gig. You need to stay open till after the filthy time. Like, I just quickly run to HMV, got some new strings, I'm back.
We'll just give you a key, just let yourself in, put some money in the till.
Just leave the 15 quid on the side. There you go, guys.
I tell you what is a genius idea though, like in absolute fairness, a guitar string vending machine, like outside. So if you break a string, you think shit, like there's no shops open, there's no strings. You go to the vending machine, you just you type your number in, which string you want, get the string. 15 minutes in and out.
Get this
there you
sent
go.
to them.
That's
there's a pay rise coming your way, Ritch.
But I think that's a genius idea.
It is.
Yeah.
It's where all my money would go.
Yeah.
Vending machines and recording studios.
You do it really like the tease. You could have like instead of the vending machine, you put money in. You got like the claw. So there's a chance you might get some guitar strings. Oh, there's a cattle.
Come back with a plectrum. The best tenner I ever spent. That's cool. HMV is cool. We've got quite a few HMV questions from the last episode, but we'll chuck that in part 2.
Yeah.
What time on, James?
About 19 minutes. 18 minutes, 17 minutes, I can't remember. Some sort of about.
How does time work in your mind?
I don't know.
Why have you turned me off?
I don't know. That's dodgy.
Fuck!
Well, it's 20 minutes on there, but
Right, so 20 minutes
the first bit's gonna be cut off, so I'm trying to like take off a minute because I'm gonna be saying 20 minutes when it's like 19 minutes. Listen, I've just came back from Poland, right?
How was Poland?
It was very good.
How was the gig in the middle of the street?
It was really nice. Honestly, it's a very musical city. Fun fact: on the 1st of May, you get guitarists from all around the world meet up to do the biggest guitar orchestra event in the world. Keep trying to break the record.
Oh, we'll have to turn up.
Are they like the front of the Foo Fighters and stuff?
I was going to say, I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
I've
think
seen
they
that.
did.
Foo Fighters event.
They did something like that.
James, what are we doing next year? 1st of May.
1st of May.
It's going to be something like
gonna be
Smells Like Teen
May.
Spirit or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a Wednesday.
but they should have a.
I think we should go and do a podcast in Poland on the 1st of May
1st of May.
2024.
That'd be pretty cool. Then just like interview loads of guitarists.
We'll go to Poland next year, Ash. Be there for a week.
Yeah.
So, what's your favourite chord? What's your favourite? And what do you like to do? And
Hey, you get a decent crowd, mind. Like,
half of them like, I don't understand what you just said.
yeah. It's not, well, they all speak English, but like they all speak Polish as well. It's quite a diverse, multi-European.
I haven't a clue about any Polish.
Yeah, it's fine. I learnt some Polish.
Oh, go on.
I'm going to butcher this. Czech, I think, was like hi.
Is Chesh the flamboyant version of saying it?
think so,
Or do you have to go Chesh? You just go Chesh. And like, oh.
I think you understood that, aye. And Jin Kuye. That's thank you.
Or is it
Jin
not like,
Kuye.
thank you.
Yeah, but I always feel like a mug saying it because I don't know if I like pronounce it properly or anything like that. So I go Jin Kuye. They know what you're saying when you say it, like Jin Kuye.
Sounds
So like,
more Asian, that doesn't it?
so it's like Jin is in like gin. Ku is in like Ku Klux Klan. And yay is in like yay. That's how I recognise. That's how I.
You don't say yay after Ku Klux Klan.
And on that note,
We'll see you in part 2.
I just well, it'd be like Jin Ku years and like Kanye.
See you in part 2.
My friends.
Ku is in Ku Klux Klan. Yay!
Your tongue's green, like frog.
Hello there.
Hi guys, we are here to tell you about our festival. On the 17th of June this year, from 2 o'clock at the Ship Isis, we are hosting our very first Off the Stage Fest.
We certainly
James,
are.
tell them who we've got.
We have headlining the Neoelectrics.
Woo! Most people go headline last, but go on.
We've all. Well, I don't know how to do this. It's the first festival we've bloody hosted.
We have Yuma, Sam Shields, Josh Hennigan, Philip Jonathan, Black Moss, Electric Circus, and Fire Lady Luck. And then on our final 3 acts of the night, we have
Fail to Ignite.
LN. And who's headlining, James?
The Neoelectrics.
Oh, you never heard that before. It's going to be no fixed fee. You just walk in, you pay a donation, whether you want to pay a penny or you want to pay £1 million or even more, by all means. We don't take a cut. It all goes to the acts. If you pay $1 million, we might take a little sample. But realistically, no, we're not going to take anything. It's going to be given to the acts, split equally, and there'll be a separate tip jar as well on the stage. If you can make it all day, make it all day. If you can't, doors open at 2. Well, doors probably open like 1:30 really.
Yeah,
the first
1:30.
act's on at 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of all we need to say.
Yeah,
Turn
I
up,
just-
Ship Isis in Sunderland.
And
17th of
this
June.
camera's fucking wonky. I've just realised.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway.
you look taller for once.
Yeah, that's true. Actually.
And either enjoy the rest of the pod, or I hope you enjoyed the episode. I don't know where this clip comes into it.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see you on the 17th of June.
See you later.
Like the last few episodes, I've been overworked because I've just been hammered after bank holiday, and I feel like I haven't put the effort in it. And then James comes back from Poland and he's like, Chloe was in Ku Klux Klan.
I do not condone the Ku Klux Klan and say no to racism. But in fairness, that's the only thing I could flip and think of that was like sounded like coo. Or maybe I could
Not
have said like a
cuckoo.
bird, like a cuckoo.
Cuckoo.
Couscous.
Couscous.
Q was in
Cornish.
Scottish cow. Q.
Coo.
Q.
Yeah, maybe I should have used one of them examples instead.
It's better to be Scottish racist than Ku Klux Klan racist.
Yeah, never mind. It's done now, isn't it? So I do apologise for anyone I offended by those comments.
You didn't endorse the Klan.
No, it was just because it sounded like it. And me and Ritch were talking about the Ku Klux Klan downstairs.
About how bad they are.
I'm thinking my own all, aren't I?
What?
No, it just doesn't matter. Anyway.
About how bad they are.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Well, because there was the Cowan's kitchen thing you were talking about?
Basically, I went to Texas. Was staying in San Antonio, but went to Austin a couple of times. And on one of the freeways.
Sour, isn't it?
Jeez. Sorry, Rich. I've just should have.
James also got an apologies potion.
Anyway, right, Sam.
We'll get it through together.
I'm prepared. I usually have that, but I don't put the sweeties in. The sweeties just bring it.
I still from your jaw like tens from drinking.
Right. Anyway, sorry, Rich. Go.
There was a place on the freeway, and it was like when it was advertising, it was a massive white banner, like a few stories high, and it was Karen's Country Kitchen, and they'd misspelt country with a K, so it was basically KKK.
Oh.
So
It's just a better.
you have your eyes open when you're in Texas.
Yeah, bet I. That's probably a popular destination there as well.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Just offend all the Texans.
Yeah.
Who are listening.
Yeah. Your friend's living in Texas at the moment.
I hope you listen to the podcast, like and share.
Yeah. To your Texas friends.
It's a questionable
there's a
section.
fucking fly. Hang on. Fuck off you.
Every episode.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. I don't know what it's. Well, it's the sweetie stuff that the
Hasn't touched my drink.
Well, maybe it's just me. Maybe I just stink. I don't know. I haven't had a shower yet since coming back from the plane.
Since last year.
Yeah.
So while James recovers from that mouthful, we got a few questions from last week's guest, the Vanells. We're going to ask you 4 questions. It should have been 3, but James asked one as well. And then we're going to get you to ask 3 questions to next week's guest, who is.
You know what? I don't even know. Oh, I tell you what.
See, I'm not the only one not prepared.
We're missing a Monday. Because
Yeah, it's on Tuesday.
Oh yeah. Oh, Matty Gray
Okay.
from Gig Co. You know the Gig Co.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we've got him on next week.
So we'll ask these questions, and you've got to ask 3 to him.
Him and a lad called Ben, I think.
Yeah, I think it's just Matty who's coming on, but I digress.
So the Vanells asked, and this is a very important question because we got into a bit of a tiff about this last week, and you won't have seen the episode yet, but it will be out next week, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got
For us. To them, it's out like a week before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be out next week. There's a big argument about condiments.
Right.
And I stand by this. I think my opinion on this one is it's very, very, very overrated. But what's your opinions on ketchup?
It's an essential. It's kind of like the Beatles. Like it's a music podcast. Like think of them in a music way. It's like the Beatles. Not everyone likes the Beatles, but you've enjoyed them at some point.
Yeah.
You might not have it every day. You might have your favourites, but it's still always going to be like a staple in your house sort of thing.
But are you playing Yellow Submarine every day on your playlist or something?
No, but I don't have ketchup every day.
That was my point last
Well,
week. I
you know,
said once you got past 10, I think ketchup's a bit like
Do you know
barbecue sauce or
the best ketchup brand, right? And if you don't believe us, you've got to go out and buy it, right? Pot noodle ketchup sachets in the beef and tomato. It is, I swear to God, it is the best.
She's just giving you like dagger looks.
Are you just going into Asda opening pot noodles?
No, I obviously had a beef and tomato pot noodle, and I was like about to do the sachet. I just thought, you know what, I'll take a sip, take a little. I was like, that is fantastic. That is like
fantastic.
That is like the epitome of ketchup cuisine. Like it's better than Dijon ketchup.
Okay.
And Dijon ketchup is like fucking good ketchup.
Okay.
James is very passionate about his
Yeah.
I've had Heinz.
Yeah,
As I go.
See, I'm
yeah.
really into like hot sauces.
I love hot sauces, yeah.
Like religiously watch the show on YouTube, Hot Ones. went to a gig in Manchester in January and came home via Leeds, so I could go to the chili shop just to get some new hot sauces.
Nice.
CJ from the Wild Hearts has his own line of hot sauces.
Love them band,
and he's
don't you?
got so he's got a one called Blood Ketchup, which is amazing.
That's
It's
a cool
one of my
name as well.
I did that in Rome. I got the Carolina Reaper extract hot sauce. Unreal.
It's a band Hot
I
Sauce.
died a
Is
little,
it?
my soul like melted, but it was unreal.
There's a band called Hot Sauce that do their own hot sauce. It's just called Hot Sauce, Hot Sauce.
There's quite a few. There's quite a few sort of different musicians do it.
Yeah, that's a good little branding thing. Conor Michael's mild sauce, hot sauce. You can do, rather than do the hot sauce.
A mild sauce.
I don't know. I'm just thinking, what's the opposite of hot sauce?
You don't have cold sauce.
Cold, yeah. It's a fucking god. What is this podcast game now, John?
Well, back to the podcast.
Yeah.
The next question, we've altered it a little bit. Obviously, with H&V, they tend to get some big names in. Big shout out, Ollie Mers. We know you watch the podcast. Who would you say are top 3 nicest celebrities that have been at H&V, and what have they done to be up there?
The man you just said, Ollie Mers, definitely one of the nicest. He had, I think it was 350 people waiting for him. Obviously, you met him, you know how nice he was. He was absolutely fantastic.
What's going on here, James?
Oh god, I've got the Irish Conor out now. No, that was the advert for the I'm reloading the soundbite. I was thinking if I had Ollie Mers on the soundbite
You
badge.
should do.
I know I don't have him though.
It's like the biggest soundbite we've got on the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
You've got Lord of the Rings on there instead.
Yeah, I know.
With all the references we use.
I've got your song as well,
You've got loads of my song.
I'm going home and I'm going home tonight.
It's a tune.
I don't know why he puts it in there.
So that's just to fill it up.
But Ollie Mers didn't make the cut. Sorry, so there was plenty of people waiting. We met him, I was starstruck. There's a photo, in fact, if you didn't get photos of me meeting him looking normal, the only photo I've got is me going,
Yeah.
what the fuck's going on here?
He was absolutely fantastic. He took time with everyone. He didn't want to sit behind a table because he wanted to interact properly with people. He'd driven from London to Newcastle, spoke to everyone, spent time with everyone. He was then driving straight to Glasgow, so his tour manager went and got some food. So half an hour after closing, we had to get Eldon Square to stay open so we can let people out of the building. And then myself, my manager and our security guard sat and talked to him and his tour manager in the office afterwards. They kept giving him food because they'd bought too much when they wanted to eat before going on to Glasgow. Just a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Just had some good stories and he was just great to talk to.
Good, we didn't stay later.
I
I would have died for that little VIP section.
Should've stayed that way.
Oh, I would have bought everyone food. Come in with like bags of Yo Sushi, right? Come on, guys.
So yeah, he was really nice. One of my favourites has been, we had Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost when Hot Fuzz came out. They again spent time talking to everyone who went to see, and that's probably one of the busiest signings that we've ever had. It was mental. But they hung around afterwards, stood and talked to all the staff, had a wander around the shop, just checking things out. I think a dozen of us went to the press screening of Hot Fuzz. So you went to one of the screens in the gate, there was popcorn on your seat. They did a question and answer sort of like afterwards. They were fantastic. Some of the bands we've had, Paramore were really, really nice. Last week we had Michael Starr from Steel Panther, lead singer. He was absolutely fantastic. One of the lads spotted him and was like, "Oh, go and talk to him, go and ask for his autograph on some stuff." So I just went upstairs, made sure we had enough copies of his album, and went over and went out, like, "Are you Michael Starr?" He was like, "Yeah." And he's like, stood and talked with for sort of half an hour or so.
I'm in.
He was great.
That's cool.
met David Hasselhoff working for HMV. The Hoff was brilliant.
Yeah.
Almost everyone has been really nice.
Yeah.
There's a wrestler called Edge. He was really nice,
Oh,
really
love
nice
Edge.
and polite. He was great.
Oh,
Deadmau5, if you know dance music.
Deadmau5 5.
Yeah, Deadmau5. Yeah.
I don't know what he calls himself these days, but silly spelling.
It's Joel. He was really nice and polite. Most people have been really good.
I love the fact that you say most and almost everyone's been really nice, and because we're trying to be really professional, we can't ask the alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Die into them, aren't
Honestly,
we?
these are the kind of things we should have our OnlyFans for.
Yeah,
It's like-
we're going to start an OnlyFans account, and it's just going to be for like the secret details of the music industry.
Have you ever heard of Patreon? It's
Yeah.
kind of like the clean
Oh, we're well
version
aware.
of what
But
OnlyFans is.
OnlyFans was originally what Patreon was, and then it became a very sex-invested kind of thing.
Right.
And if we say we have a Patreon, people go, "Oh, that's nice." But if me and James say, "Look, guys, sign up to OnlyFans," we're going to get a lot more attention.
musicians get fucked by him.
Sorry, I still got that from cough from last week's episode. It doesn't leave.
There's been loads of footballers we've had in. David Beckham. I've met Beckham 3 times now. He's fantastic.
You must have loved that.
Absolutely.
Mr. Manchester United.
This was back when I worked in the Metro Centre shop.
Right.
Came in from getting my lunch, and the England team was staying in the hotel by the Metro Centre. So there was David Beckham, Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt, both Neville brothers, Rio Ferdinand, just at least sort of like 3/4 of the England starting team were just wandering around the shop.
I forgot how many bloody Manchester United players were in the England squad at one point. God.
They were good.
They were good, yeah.
They're the 4th best in England now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Am I meant to shot these jellies, by the way? I don't know.
I think
what to do
so.
now.
I think I would probably nag them.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me put some context. So we've got this it's the twice brewed apple sour that put sweeties inside it.
Probably. Interesting.
Yeah. Just looking at your face.
Well, I was expecting to be really soft.
They've been mushed, aren't they? Been in a.
It was lovely.
Ah.
That from a Haribo one. Next one. What's the biggest fiasco that's ever happened in HMV? We're back to naming more episodes as well. So
Right.
James did it for like the first 7. Literally why it's called a fiasco, because last week's episode was Fiasco and Wankers.
Oh yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, first episode's called something like The Broken Camera, but...
Yeah,
was it really
for a
broken?
good 14 episodes, we went in with episodes, and then James got bored and went 15, 16. So,
Well, it's just that's you know what it was. I was rushing to get them finished, and like I hadn't actually watched them while I was editing, so I just couldn't think of like what the main theme of the particular podcast was. But now what I can do is I can just think, oh, what's the main theme of this podcast, and just, or maybe we should name it live on air. That could be a new thing.
what?
Yeah.
I love James's thought process out loud.
Honestly, it's my mind is like a fucking pinball machine. It's just back and forth non-stop. Just non-stop.
Sure it
thinking
is.
about
I
things.
wasn't listening to any of that because I was in my mind thinking, well, we'll probably call it something KKK related, and I'm trying to think of how we do that without it sounding offensive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think we can. That's
You could call it dziękuję, which is thank you in Polish.
Which is how we got the KKK reference.
Yeah, so that's like people.
Dziękuję.
Yeah,
That's for this
dziękuję.
episode. So anyway, what's the biggest fiascos to happen at HMV?
That I can think of. It was probably about 10 or 12 years ago when when Newcastle and North East flooded. Was it
Oh,
a
it was a
Thursday night
Thursday.
when-
Yeah,
Yeah, there was
Okay, now how do I know?
the great storm of.
no, it was.
But it's engraved in their memory down to the day.
I remember.
Yeah,
aye.
it was a Thursday night. It was absolutely mental because our tea room in the Northumberland Street shop was on the roof, so really high up. If you think of how high the buildings are,
Yeah.
Northumberland Street is massive, and we were going back down to start the rest of our shift, and the sky was green. It was just bizarre,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden the rain started, and it just didn't stop. It was
I
horrific.
remember the street lights coming on because they got so dark, like overcast and dark. I was like, this isn't good. Luckily, I was off work that day. My brother was in Newcastle.
When was this?
Years ago now.
Probably about 10, 12 years
Yeah,
ago.
we were really about 10, 12 years ago now.
Would be like
But
A child.
remember
in
my
high school, yeah.
My brother literally walked home from Newcastle to
I
Sunderland.
did the same thing. Metros were off, buses were off, just roads
Yeah.
everywhere were flooded.
He helped two people out of like the mud because the car stalled because the
Is this the same story?
yeah,
Did you
it's
know
the
each
same
other
day.
at the same time?
No, it's
No,
the
no.
same day. But I wasn't in HMV obviously.
So
but I mean,
how did he help people out the mud?
no, that's my
Different stories, James.
Oh, right, okay. My brother walked home and he was helping people bring the cars out of the road
Okay.
because it was like still flooded.
Like the route back home, because I live in South Shields, you couldn't get the metro. They'd been stopped. Roads were waterlogged everywhere. But at work, because the building was so old and just, like I say, literally falling apart, it was just pouring everywhere. So like back rooms were flooding. It was pouring like onto the ground floor as well. And when you think that's essentially 4 stories below the roof,
Yeah.
and it was pouring through light fixtures. So you're like trying to mop up and getting cardboard down and trying to get all this water up. But when you're looking up and there's just water pouring out of a light fixture, like, electricity and water don't really mix.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna walk away from this and just like save myself.
Is this the real reason you changed shops?
It's probably one of the main reasons why we moved from Northumberland
Yeah.
Street,
That's mental, that,
because like you had to shut the shop. It wasn't safe. Like we eventually, when the rain stopped, we kind of got it to a point where you could go home, but like James's brother had to walk home, so walking from Newcastle to South
Swimming back
Shields,
home.
essentially doing like the Great North Run route to
Yeah.
get home. But you would walk down the road and it was like up to your knee sort of thing in certain places.
Wow.
It was absolutely mental.
That's
I
crazy.
Down Ocean Road when I was like 15. Lightning had struck the road, and all of Ocean Road was waist deep, all the way down to the fair and all the way up through South Shields.
Trying to do the math there, that could be a similar time.
No,
No, 10
Was that a
years
bit
ago
you?
I was like 20.
Okay. Trying to do you a favour.
But that was the biggest shambles I can remember, sort of thing, and nothing because anything that the company had done. It was just you had sort of like a dozen members of staff just trying to like use pallet wrap around units to prevent sort of like all of your stock just getting.
And here is someone getting a text. Sorry.
yeah, it's a phone.
Morse code.
Unless it's aliens.
Mary's back. Yeah.
That
Got a
was-
Morse code vibe now though. It's not just.
yeah, it could be aliens.
They got
def-
spotted in Turkey, didn't they?
Aliens?
Was it Turkey?
Did that? Aliens?
Oh yeah, there was was it Turkey? There was an airport that had to close down because there was a UFO. And they had to
No.
ground the flights.
No, I'm going to have to Google this. I love aliens, me.
Sure, it was Turkey.
KKK alien.
Aliens,
Yeah, I would say UFO
Turkey.
because definition of UFO is unidentified flying object. So they're not confirmed aliens, but they had to ground it because there was
Definitely aliens.
something that was like 9,000 miles above air height, and they picked up the radar and they couldn't fly because they didn't know what was above them. And it was just after America had announced that, oh yeah, we actually have got UFO aircrafts and stuff like that.
Is this like a recent thing?
Yeah, I'm sure it's like this week.
UFO-shaped cloud stuns eyewitnesses in Turkey. Oh, I have not heard of this.
Whatever it was,
Pink-
it picked up on the radar and grounded the flights for like 12 hours.
Yeah, you've been in a puddle in Poland for a few days.
Yeah.
I heard about it
Probably,
on
yeah.
TalkSport this morning. As reliable a source as it gets.
Oh no, this is from January. So maybe it's the planning or something. I'm just gonna shut up and just drink that.
Have you had any fiascos in your current store?
No.
No,
final
UFOs
question we
only.
had.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna.
And this kind of relates to, we have a little bit of a group chat between the three of us, and James likes to chirp in now and then with things that happen in his shops. This is his question to you. What's the weirdest thing that someone has stolen from your H&D?
There's the odd time when you have people stealing graphics. So majority of our graphics now are kind of shop made.
Yeah.
So you'll have people sort of opening CD cases and just stealing little bits of paper out of it that you'll have just made in the shop on a like Windows 98 PC sort of thing.
That is weird. Like, why would you? Do you think I wouldn't? Because You're not gonna like because it's not something you could sell, is it? Really?
No.
Like,
I mean, we've had sort of people stealing like gig posters and stuff, but like I think that's happened in every possible place, not just gigs. But yeah, occasionally, and one of the shops in the company posted it on their Instagram fairly recently as well.
Did anybody try and steal my gig poster?
So yeah,
you just see just
You're like, oh, that's gone. Excuse me, can I get this signed? Oh yes.
Unfortunately, we are a shop that gets battered by theft at times. And
Well, of course we do. But then James gets battered by thefts all the time.
yeah,
not as much, I don't think. I
not
guess.
now.
When's the last time someone robbed you?
What was that few weeks ago? They're in jail for like 6 years now.
A big robbery, that.
So
They
not steal.
didn't just rob James's shop. They basically went around every shop nearby and robbed it, and they went, right, 6 years nicked.
they just went like one of the guys had only been out of jail for one day.
Yeah.
So they're just like, right, back in jail you go. Just like flip the neck. Aye. But anyway,
So yeah, final question before we end this part. What 3 questions would you like to ask next week's guest? Which is?
Matty Gray.
Ooh.
Good call.
That's a tough one because he's not a musician that I know of.
Ask him what his favourite type of custard is. It doesn't have to be music.
What inspired him to do the Gigco app?
Oh, that's a good one.
Which I know is possibly one that you'd be asking anyway, but it's
Will be now. We do this now because we don't actually get a lot of Instagram questions. So please, if you're following us, when we put the Instagram questions, ask as many as you want. They're great. And if you're not following us, we're at Off the Stage UK. Check us out on Instagram. I think we're only like 30 followers away from 500.
Really? Ooh,
We've already picked up on Instagram quite
that's
recently.
pretty cool.
The gig guide's been helping out quite a bit.
Yeah, I bet that's the main thing, isn't it?
And, it's the only thing I contribute with. What's inspired you to start the gig guide? The Gigco, is it? Gigco.
Gigco, yeah, it's a really good app. Spoke to him a little while ago now when they were starting to develop it, and it's fantastic because it helps people like us. It does a lot of the local venues. I know they're starting it in Newcastle and then expanding, I think, by what he was saying.
Cool.
But it's really good. It's a good way to find out different performances.
It's like all in one because you don't really, apart from like the gig guide.
Every Monday, 10 o'clock.
Yeah. You don't really get.
Available also on Spark FM every Saturday.
Yeah, I've just realised he's going to be like a competitor to your gig guide.
Nah, we're good. I've got connections now, James. We're good. Catch us out on Spark FM every Saturday.
Oh yeah, good point actually.
James does all the technical work, and I've got like the whole social connection kind of side of things.
Yeah,
it's a good partnership.
Because I'm clearly socially awkward, so
yes. 2 more.
First gig you ever paid to go to, because the first band I ever saw live is not one that I paid for, but is still quite famous.
There's a question for the part 3.
Yeah.
Remember that, James?
What gig did you go for?
Just say no.
Go to for free. Yeah.
Final question. Poor jet lag, James.
No, I'm not with it today.
If he could wave a magic wand and have something happen to blow up his app, what would it be? So would it be like celebrity endorsement, or would it be
a good question.
Financial backing? Would it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's not a question I would have thought of, but that's a really good question.
Mint. And we will catch you guys in part 3.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
Everybody listen to Off the Stage podcast.
There we go. That was a really good time, and I was really impressed with that.
Better than your get off the metro stage.
Yeah, I'm useless at that shit. Anyway.
You just turned into the singer from Disturbed.
Yeah.
I was thinking as well.
Get down with the sickness.
Look at you, you're Disturbed. I'm so proud.
Actually, I'm a musician. I know everything. My favourite quote of the week, by the
Connor's
way.
played in Trillions. He knows metal.
I've got a picture on the thing with Slipknot. It's all good.
Just trying like.
Yeah, got my little picture with Slipknot, remember?
Oh, that thing.
Yeah, that thing.
It's a good one to Dylanify. Like, Dylanify all songs, you know, like, do like, sing the song but like in a Bob Dylan accent.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh, there's a song we do, which you do that accent to. Oh, which one is it?
Probably. I was in Kinks laughing one time. What song was it? It was Come Up and See Me, Make Me Smile.
Roots, Send Me On The Way.
Oh yeah. What?
And you can run. You do that. I notice it when we do it at Filthy's.
Oh, do I? Oh, I don't do that deliberately, to be fair.
I'm like laughing in my head, like, oh, he's doing his Dylan impression.
I'm actually not, to be honest. I'm just trying to sing that normally, but generally like. I would like to reach it.
We can advertise Even the Tides in Club of Google.
Not Google, because I'm gonna have to change it.
Oh no, what's happening at Club of Google?
I've double booked.
Oh, Richard.
Even the Tides asked for one date, and then we had to change it because someone might have double booked it. I can't remember.
And tell that. Why have we got them starting at 3 and them starting at 2? What's wrong with reverse order?
Yeah, because Club Go-Go is a DJ set. The Club Go-Go was
Doesn't matter. The OCD in me is saying that should be the other way around because 2 should be before 3.
Yeah, I know, but that's a reminder for me to email them and get it sorted.
I hate sharing notes with you. We've got a little shared HMV thing, so I just advertise the gig guide every week.
But yeah, Club Go-Go, I need to...
They're on all the time, aren't they?
Email them and change them.
Did it in March.
It's a, I think it's a husband and wife, and he does all the DJing. But Club Go-Go is like a famous club in Newcastle.
Everyone. What happened to everyone else?
I had to split it.
Sorry, are we recording now?
That's this year's.
Yeah, I think so.
Welcome back to part 3, guys.
Yeah.
We just took me and Rich share a notes page.
I quite like that guy from a Club of Go-Go because I shared one of my songs on Twitter one time. And it was, it's so nice to see young talent. And I was like, oh,
young talent.
I'm sure people like Jimi Hendrix and stuff played Club of Go-Go.
I think,
We're still waiting to get that book in at the shop, so I've not looked through to see all the different people. But there's like a plaque up next to, I think it's the Goose in Newcastle, the Goose and the Bulls. There's a plaque down there that talks about the club. I'm sure it was like Jimi Hendrix and like 60s musician sort of thing. So.
Jimi Hendrix was here. Because he used to, was it Gosforth he used to busk out?
I'm sure he used to live in a house in like Jesmond or something.
Yeah, something like that. Probably like students in flipping Jesmond, I tell you. Now but trouble.
Welcome back to part 3.
Yeah.
What we were talking about in the... We're back, baby! In the break was mainly about James's tiredness, to be honest.
It's how slow I am to react to things.
Yeah, in fact, when you went away, I was like, James, you got your guitar so that you can play No Regret. He's like, oh, no, I haven't. I'll just do a different one. I was like, cool. How are you going to do that without your guitar? Just recording. But in the break, we were talking about the whole Ollie Murs scenario and how you pulled me and Ashley out of line, got us to kind of speak to them. We spoke about that briefly when it happened because we got him obviously at the end of the podcast. But how did it happen? How did that come about? Was he like, oh no, I don't like that guy? He's definitely not listened to the album since.
No, well, when we do sort of the big signings, we always have a member of staff in front of the artist. So then you can sort of help control the crowd.
Yeah.
You just keep an eye on things, and if the artist wants anything, then they'll ask you, and you can get things sorted. So like when Wild Hearts were hungry, I was like, right, I'll send a member of staff out with like 20 quid and get some Greggs sort of thing. So Ollie's tour manager, who'd driven him up from London, was stood next to us, and me and him were just sort of like constantly chatting and talking about stuff. And I think I was messaging you at the time, and I was
flirt.
I was was telling him that one of my friends is downstairs. He's a massive fan, and sort of like one of his biggest influences is Ollie Murs sort of thing. He's like, that's fantastic. Just go and get him. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, just just go and get him and bring him upstairs.
We thought you were lying about the management thing. Because when you got me and Ashley up the line, you were like, oh, management said this. And we thought you just said that. The manager said, just stand here. Because we thought we'd cut in front of like 600 people. Everyone's going to be pissed.
There was.
We thought the management thing was like, okay, that makes a bit of sense.
Yeah, there was a good couple of hundred people who were in front of you. Yeah. But no, he sent me down and said, just put them in that bit of the queue, which was maybe sort of like 20 people from the front. He's like, just put them there, and we'll get to see him a lot quicker. And I was like, all right, okay. So obviously went downstairs past a couple of hundred people who were stood waiting, went over and went, oh, Connor, if you just want to come with me, and instantly just saw people just looking.
Yeah,
and it was
we felt the stairs in the back of our heads. It was like, oh.
So yeah, I made sure to say out loud at that point.
Yeah.
Ollie's manager wants you to come this way. So obviously, like, took us through security, because upstairs was shut. There was that many people sort of stood there, and then we went sort of like one way, and then I knew that I had to say something out loud when we got to that point, because it's literally like, right, you're standing here, and all those people are now like not as important as you. So it's like, so
now we're on the podcast, guys.
So made sure to say that, like, as loud as I could. Ollie's manager said, stand here.
Yeah.
Because you get sort of proper hardcore fans with some people. You had it with Matt Goss, because there's people who followed these people for like decades. So they'll know the tour managers by name, they'll know their families, they'll know ins and outs of everything. So there's proper hardcore fans out there, which I'm sure you'll know. But with Ollie, it was great. It was the same when he signed on the Northumberland Street show when we were there.
I was there.
His fans apparently broke our shutter, which is like a 15-foot high roller shutter, and that was broken because people thought they'd seen him and he wasn't even in the building. Sort of like wrecked that. But no, on the day, his tour manager was fantastic. So obviously brought him upstairs, and then I was stood talking to him some more, and I was like, oh, like, he's a musician himself, got his CD over there, and he was like, oh, awesome. And I was like, do you think Ollie would ask Connor to sign his own album? And he was like, yeah, of course. And you have it sort of like quite often where every so often an artist will like take a break, quickly say something to their tour manager, say like, this needs to go quicker, or I need a drink or something like that. I need a break. So his tour manager sort of went over to him, said something to Ollie, and Ollie was like, yeah, sure. So I went, got a copy of his CD, gave it to him. He sort of like just had it ready, and then obviously sort of like looked at the front and then saw you, and then that's when it happened.
Yeah, that was mental, because in my mind I'm just like, right, see if we can get him to do something for the podcast. I said that to James. I said, we'll go down, see if we can get him to do something for the podcast. And then he just two people before the front, the manager's like, right guys, no more video notes. I was like, ah.
So like, it was like it was kind of in the
Back in my mind.
it was in the back of my mind. And I'll message you then going, let's see if anything you can do, see if we can get any kind of thing for the podcast. And then he was like, oh, Connor. And that threw me straight off. I was like, oh, he knows my name. Clearly a fan, keeps an eye on them shots. No, that was meant that.
Yeah, he was. I know we kind of talked about it before, but he was one of the nicest people we've had.
Yeah.
And there has been quite a lot of like fantastic ones, but
it's good when you see someone at that level who appreciates where they're at.
Yeah.
Rather than the ones who are like, well, I'm here, so you do what I do.
It was something that I talked to him about in the office afterwards. It was like, have you ever had sort of like bad experiences with people who you've met? And he had a couple of sort of like stories of people who...
I'm not asking you to name names, but did he name names?
Yes.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm going to ask you when the podcast is finished, by the way.
I want to know now.
So he said someone who...
Sign up to our OnlyFans, find out who we're talking about.
So yeah, he talked about people who he'd met, and then because I wanted to get him to do something for the podcast, but was a little sort of apprehensive just in case he would say like, no, I'll get offended, sort of thing. But he was brilliant. So I was like, oh, like, Connor and another lad, James, have got a podcast, and like described it to him. I was like, can you do like a little recording for them? He was like, yeah, no problem. So he sort of instantly got my phone, and then he was like, hi, this is Ollie Mears. No, that was crap. Hi, this is Ollie Mears. No, that's crap. And he did the same thing for I got him to record a message from my girlfriend as well.
Yeah.
And he was like, hi, no, that's not very good. And he was like, yeah. And then he did it himself, and he just wanted it to be.
It's nice
really
that
nice and
he's thought through. He's like, no, I want if they're gonna ask us to do it, I'm gonna do it properly.
right, yeah.
Because he could just be, hi, I'm Ollie Mears, listen to the podcast, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, like
still would have shown it, but I mean, it's nice that he actually put some effort into it.
Well, we've got the other takes as well, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Hi, I'm Ollie. Hi, I'm Ollie. You see his face going.
he knows he can do better. I mean, like there's been local artists who are quite famous who have said, oh, can I get a picture? No, I'm not photo ready. Like, all right, okay.
It's Bob Dylan.
Wow.
Bob
James Berry.
I'm like, do not take my photo, please. I'm not that.
That's sort of like it changes the perception of people, and it's when you've got fans sort of asking you for a photo sort of thing, and they say no, it's like, all right, okay. You know, obviously you've got your reasons for saying no, but when you've got fans asking you, then
it's big, it's a big FU in it, really.
I don't think I've ever turned down taking a photo, but I don't always put my arms around people. I'll try and stand and make sure my hands are in the photo of, look, I'm not touching this person, because in 15 years time that's going to be a case of, well, you did this. Actually, no, I didn't.
Thing is, you can. I've seen, if you see the red carpet and stuff, you see people take about 3 or 4 photos, and then because you can't sit there and take photos with absolutely everybody. You pick people. You get lucky if you get a photo with them, but it doesn't take that much effort, surely, to take 4 or 5 photos with
I did one last year in Wallsend, and it's just after. Was it just after or before Home? It got released.
It was just after, because you were signing the CD.
It was just after Home with Charted Third, and people were coming down to the pub to say, because it was advertised Conor Michael Charted kind of thing, and they were like, oh, really excited to see it. And this woman was like, oh, can my daughter get a photo with you? She was 15, 16 or something. I was like, that's absolutely fine. So I did my usual kind of stand, hands behind the back kind of thing.
Footballer pose.
Yeah, and she was like, you can put your arms round, and I was looking at her like, this is the lawsuit moment.
Yeah.
So I ended up kind of I had one arm there, so you can see it over the hand, and the other arm hey, just so my hands are here. I'm not doing anything wrong.
I know you kept your arm away from mine.
I was like, hi, this is cool.
That's what my photo with Newcastle is like, because I was so self-conscious, because I said, oh, can I get a photo? And he's like, yeah, sure. And so I went round the other side of the table, and he wasn't doing personalised autographs.
Yeah.
He had a woman at the start of his table who wrote sort of to Ritch,
and then he signed it,
slides it over, and he writes David Hasselhoff.
Okay.
So I was like, can I get a photo? And this was in Oxford Street. This was in the big flagship store with hundreds of people. And I was like, oh, can I get a photo? And he was like, yeah, sure, just come round. And I think my photo was actually like this around him, because I was too scared to touch him.
Yeah.
Because obviously people have got sort of different preferences.
It's role reverse now. Celebrities aren't allowed to touch you, so it's very you get a lot of celebrities do the whole hands behind the back and
I've been listening to old podcasts today, and it was just you two talking about Jimmy Savile. So.
Yeah, we're past that now. It's
we grew up.
Yeah, we've
I'm avoiding it.
Yeah.
Out of the woods for Savile.
Too old for Savile now.
Yeah.
It was the Shag, Marry, Avoid, and it was Jimmy Savile, Margaret Thatcher.
That was a good episode. That was
Gary Glitter.
Although we'd still avoid Margaret Thatcher.
I think she got picked, didn't she? I think
we shouldn't get into this, should we? Especially when I'm the way I am at the moment.
But do you know what? We can get into it slightly, because with it being the 1 year anniversary, one of the questions I was going to ask, so one of the reasons we got you on is, as much as you do a lot for the North East music scene, you're a bit of a podcast fan with us. Because this is how we got to know you. It was a case, I think you watched India's episode first.
Yeah, it was just after and then India had been selected.
Because I remember me and James
went backwards.
HMV Newcastle have followed. HMV Newcastle asked a question, they've messaged me, and we were 7 episodes in or something, and we were like, HMV, we must be doing something right.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I think you've seen every episode since you went back and watched. Who's been your favourite, without being biased to India being obviously your signed gal? Who would you say your favourite act has been? That doesn't mean you're discouraging the other acts that have been on.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to be act. I think the highest view done we've had is when we had Lee in for the management.
yeah. Lee was
That was a really good
fantastic.
episode.
He was really good. Sort of like very.
I still got Oliver's on my wallpaper.
Yeah.
Ashley's on there occasionally. But at the minute, it's me signing my CD from.
Yeah, Lee was brilliant. He was. He's probably been one of my favourites.
Yeah.
Especially because, like you two know, I kind of wanted to expand on what I'm doing in HMV in different places, with a fairly good opportunity for you that I want to talk to you about later.
This
on.
in June.
Yeah. So we'll get that sorted.
It's the only Thursday in June I'm off, you know. Most before Luke messages us.
But no, I listened to India's, and then went backwards, because I think Josh Hennigan, who's a fantastic musician,
He is, right.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'd done one previous to India,
Yeah.
so I listened to his.
We had Scott, who was Scott, Jack, Jude, who been like
Shoes?
Josh, India. I'm sure we had someone else on.
India, there was. I don't think they had a name. It was Ben and
The
yes.
Sam Shields was quite early.
Sam Shields.
Yuma
Sam Shields
was
would be
one of
in
the
that.
earlier ones as well.
Yuma would be Yuma.
I'm gonna find out who her order was. Sorry, continue.
You've got us thinking now.
I'll find it. Yeah.
As much as I like, as much as it's an obvious choice, Scott. It's great listening
Which one?
to Scott talking.
Scott is our only repetitive guest we've had on the episode.
The one when he co-hosted was brilliant.
Ah, the one where I wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's always a great
Yeah.
episode. We had track 1 was Scott Kears, the Fantasy Band and Broken Camera.
Yeah.
Track 2 was Jack Milcrease, fantastic gigs and where to find them. 3 was Jude Davison's Meal Deals and Johnny Depp. 4 was Yuma, First Crushers and Horse-Sized Ducks. 5 was Josh Hennigan, Thieving Seagulls and Spit Pie. 6 was our special, the home special.
Bringing back these like stupid questions.
7 was India Rock and Internet History in Hidden Paper Clips. Track 8, Keddy Sowells. Track 9.
Yeah,
you got bored after
yeah,
Indians.
I was just like,
They were good titles, to be fair.
Yeah, bring it back.
Yeah.
Season 2.
I'm trying to think who else. Labyrinthian Oceans, really good band.
You know what, personally I enjoyed, obviously I'm pals with them, but Stevie Stoker had a lot of information on that podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if I had to pick someone I didn't know before the podcast, and I rated them earlier, I was in the studio all day today, and someone asked, who's been your favourite to come on? And I recommended Fail to Ignite.
Yeah.
Good old Nathan.
Yeah, good old Nathan.
The first tongue slip of the episode of the season.
It's all downhill from there.
Yeah. But no, he's been fantastic. I'm looking forward. He's
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure James has done his job right and put the adverts in between the
I
parts.
have, yeah.
Confident.
I do.
You haven't done yet.
I've actually, you know what I've done? I've set up a template where that automatically.
That's how it should be done.
Yeah.
Coming from the person who does none of the technical stuff.
I do a gig guide. Great crack. We sit and watch The Good Doctor, and I'm on my laptop like I tag them.
Or
but
Ashley gives you a phone.
yeah, it used to be. Now I figured out how to do it on mine.
Well done.
Thank you. But Fail to Ignite, he's going to be on one of our final performers on our festival, 17th of June. Get yourself down, Ship ISIS. Just doing a little plug here. It's pay what you want on the door. You can pay a couple of pennies to get in. You can pay a couple of £100 if you want to get in. It's fine. It all gets split between the acts. Fail to Ignite, Ellen and The Electrics are 3 big names to put on the end of that. Although, to be fair, we've got some big names in the earlier slots. But yeah, who's been your favourite? Twist it around, James, because you're in a bit of a fuzzy mode. You'll probably answer this. Who's been your least favourite?
I wouldn't want to say that.
Fucking hated it when Connor came back after the Scott episode.
I know. I was asking him no long ago. I really liked.
It's funny, I know his answer.
I really liked Josh Hennigan's episode actually.
Yeah, Josh is really good.
It was when he. I just really liked the song that he played at the end as well.
Yeah.
It was such a cool song, and I've obviously followed him ever since, and I'm looking forward to his grand return because he hasn't been gigging in a while, has he?
He hasn't. I think the last gig he did was my support slot in January.
He's,
I've seen him announced for yours.
Yes.
I need to start adding them in gig guide, so
Yes.
please keep me updated on. I've missed next week's. Have I? No, I haven't. Today's Monday. I can do next week's. Just let me know.
In your defence, we only announced this week's lineup.
Tell me in advance and I'll put it on every Monday. We'll get that in.
So yes.
Who's been your favourite song at the end? Take no offence, James. We both had a song.
Still waiting for that AI song.
Oh, I forgot to post that, didn't I?
Has it not been out yet?
No, I haven't
No,
even I've completely
I don't
forgot
think
to
so.
post it.
It has been out.
It's been out.
Did you not put it on the
I
Sundays?
just didn't put it on the pub table sessions.
Oh.
Ooh, maybe this I can do for this one then. It might not make any fucking sense, but I mean, I can
It
just.
doesn't make any sense. You should
I
put it.
might just post it on. I'll just put it on.
If you watch the end of that episode with Frankie and the Heartstrings,
It's on there.
it's on there.
His was really good. That was a good.
Yeah, I
podcast as well.
enjoyed Funky's.
I agree with what you said as well.
Yes.
Ritch messaged me, that messaged the group chat. He said, it's a really good episode, but you can tell it's like fanboy James talking to Frankie and then Connor just sitting watching the episode live. And I was like, yeah, that's how I felt. It was kind of like James asked a question and I was like, oh,
That's how I felt, yeah.
it's lovely this. I don't know who you are. He's just like, cool.
Lovely.
Favourite songs, I really liked, I'm really bad with the names of the songs, but the one that Neil Electric played at the end,
Yeah, that was a good one.
that was really cool.
Camel Island.
Camel Island, that was a
The fact-
tune.
was
that.
recent.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
drummer jumping on the guitar and just adding
Yeah.
something next to it. And I haven't seen their covers gigs yet, but I saw them doing the originals gig at Garden Lane last week, and they were fantastic.
Yeah,
like
they're a good band.
We've just added them on the roster for Tiny Guitars.
Yeah.
They're brilliant, really good. I was first taught about them by two bands I had playing in the shop. A London band called Apollo Blue and Pigeon Loft. When they played the shop on the Saturday, they both came up to us and said, Camel Island are fantastic. The three of them had played together at Anarchy Brewery the night before, and both bands came up to me separately going, you should get that Camel Island in, they're brilliant. And taught this to Will and the lads from Camel Island when they did Garden Lane. But they were fantastic. They've got a really good presence on stage. They're quite tight. You can tell that the gig together quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I know it was something that I think it was you and Stevie talked about when Stevie was on, and you talked about how you've got to have a knowledge of doing covers to really sort of make it,
Yeah.
and it helps you sort of progress and,
It does,
and
absolutely.
get your bands together quite a lot. So you can tell that they do a lot of time together, and Will was just a good front man. They've got a great guitarist and great sort of rhythm section. You know, they were brilliant. But their track at the end has probably been my favourite, I think.
Yeah. I remember mixing it, thinking, they've done something special. They've made something special here, like that.
Just on the final question before we call it a day, because it's been a good little chat, to be fair.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
It can be two different artists. If you had to pick an artist that hasn't played your HMV Live and Local, who would you want to do? And if you could pick an artist that hasn't been on the podcast, who would you like to hear?
There's this bloke called Sam from the north side of the water. He's playing some football stadium fairly soon. I think he's kind of the person who I should be saying to do Live and Local. He's currently abroad supporting Bruce Springsteen.
Such a...
So I think he's a bit busy.
I hear he might be back next week, though.
Apparently, yeah. I think he's I think he's doing the stadium soon. It would be class to have him in the shop. I mean, like you've just seen the backdrop that we have now. If you it shows your age. You either know it from a beer label or you either know it from Sam Fender's reworking of the beer label.
I know it from the beer label.
Yeah.
If I release an EP next year, and would HMV be pissed if I got a big picture of my face and put it on that picture just for a few days to advertise my new EP release?
Probably not. No.
Okay. I got a good marketing idea for next year.
So he's just like a different group sort of thing. Because if we ever got Sam Fender in the shop, it would be insane.
We'd have to busk outside of it, make a killing.
Yeah. But there's quite a few musicians from the area who I think are something special. Like my girlfriend winds us up all the time saying that I've got a crush on a guy called Matt Saxon, who is in Little Comments, who does music under the name Early Purple now. So what he's doing now is absolutely fantastic, and it's kind of folky. Saw them at Wyland Brewery a couple of weeks ago. Saw them last year at, I think it was the Volunteer Lifesaver Museum in Tynemouth last year, and literally had Sam Fender right in front of us and didn't realise it was him. Like what the stuff that Matt's doing at the minute, he's just released his EP about a week or two ago. He's absolutely fantastic. I would love to have him in the shop, because it's similar to how I felt watching Elizabethtown. Like
All Damien Rice.
Damien Light.
Ignoring the fact that you're a friend and Scott's a friend.
Remember.
Like watching Elizabethtown was fantastic, and especially the bit at the end you just do when you get off the stage and just do it sort of like
special.
like
I personally love the support acts that were there.
sort of thing.
Both gigs, fantastic.
But watching Early Purple, it's a fantastic band. They're really good.
Yeah.
As for a guest on the pod, probably say Hive Mind.
Joe Pal?
I'm Georgia.
We're getting them on, yeah.
When we got them?
Well, they had to cancel. They actually, tell you what, we're supposed to have them on tonight.
No, it was 9 Banks tonight.
Was it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it was 9 Banks.
We
we
used to
haven't,
do
we
it.
haven't got Hard Mind. I don't think.
Okay. We used to do like a song of the week, and Hide Mind made it on one. It was Fire.
Fire. Yeah, they're
They're
fantastic.
very much more my vibe than yours, but they are like Georgia is like the front woman is absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, just
She gets
amazing.
very involved.
But not
They've
just
done HB,
Georgia.
haven't they?
Yes, yeah. Like the amount of energy that they've all got as well. For all she's like the front woman sort of thing.
They probably vibe off each other, don't they?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm a massive fan of Jack, the drummer, Jack Fox.
Yeah, comedian.
Stand-up comedian. I've seen him doing sort of like covers bands, and doing sort of like the heavy rock stuff with Hive Mind.
Yeah.
He's a really nice bloke. He's really funny, and like the other two lads are great as well. They're just you seem to have like stuff with the band where you'll have like a front man or a front woman, and they'll do all the talking, whereas all four of them are great to talk to. So that'll be a good one.
We'll have to ask them. Come on now.
Absolutely. Just before we go, because we have producer Ashley sitting in the wings, we'll make the most of this. Have you got any questions you want to ask Ritch? Anything to finish the podcast with? Because we normally ask what song you're going to play next, but I don't think you are.
If you could give any advice to Connor or James music career-wise from what you know, what would you give them?
Ooh.
Give up.
For me, anyway.
Stop where you're at. Quit while you're behind.
For you two, there's nothing that I can really think of. I mean, we like you've said, we've got a group chat with the three of us, and we talk about stuff quite often. So there's little rules that musicians don't seem to understand that they need to do. Like basic stuff like make your social media easy to find.
Fucking pissed me off this week.
Don't
in my life when I help him with the gig.
Fuck. Dude, I'm going to out them out. Who was it this week that I couldn't find? Oh.
Let's not out people.
I'm going to out them out.
Connor.
I am. Where was it?
So another advice thing I was talking about, this is probably part of it, like let's not out people that you might need in the future.
Okay, fair enough. But if your name is going to be an artist name,
Oh, I know who you complain about this.
and you type in artist name music and it doesn't come up, or artist name band and it doesn't come up, or artist name UK and it doesn't come up, and then you have to actually go through your support act to find the headline name to be a completely different name on Instagram, you're probably not going to get a lot of following. It's not that easy to find. I've said this on podcasts before. Stop making it difficult for people to find you.
And once you make it private as well.
Yeah, don't make it.
Yeah.
private.
Oh, that's the worst one.
Professional musician with
I'll tag this
private
one in.
accounts.
Oh, private. You can't tag this account.
Yep.
Why? Hey, as the top episode we've had on Lee said, musicians are brands now.
Yeah.
You've got to be a product. You've got to be merch worthy. You've got to be, I like that person. You've got to be accessible.
exactly.
Be accessible.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Be accessible.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much part 3.
Yeah.
That is done. We don't have a part 4 today. Is there anything we can shove at the end? Have you got a song you want to promote, James?
I've got a song called No Regrets coming out on the 2nd of June. I was supposed to bring my guitar to play it, but I forgot. So I might just replay when I played it last time. just put it on twice. Or I might not, I don't know.
I'm just going to rephrase exactly what James said. James has a song called No Regrets that was out Friday gone.
Oh, right.
So if you want to go check it out, it's available to stream. It's available on Spotify,
Hopefully.
iTunes, hopefully, Data Music, hopefully. Might be on Instagram stories this time.
Yeah.
Who knows? Your song's already out.
Yeah,
How's it gone?
It's 3 streams. Fucking mint.
Fucking yes. I bet before
I'll stream one.
I haven't done it yet. You're still on 2. So before we go, is there anything you want to ask us as podcast host musicians? And this will be the last question. I'm dragging this on because we haven't got a part 4.
Yeah.
That's alright.
The obvious thing would be to bounce back the question that you asked me. Who locally would be your golden egg sort of thing, like your holy grail?
I'd love to get Barry Hyde on, actually. I'll keep meaning to ask him. I'm sure he'd be up for coming on as well.
Hyde and Beast.
Yeah. No, from Future Heads.
Right.
But I'll get the...
On the podcast or at the HMV?
I've already asked Beast from Hyde and Beast. He says he doesn't do podcasts, so... That's not the question.
On the pod.
Defining locally, does it have to be northeast based, or does it have to be just somebody who's not big and famous?
No. It's got to be a Tyne and Weir based person.
Okay. Because to change the question, and I'll give you a second answer as well. There was a guy who was meant to support us in York called Harrison Rimmer, and I was really looking forward to his set, but he had to pull out for last minute, like family emergency. But he does a lot of like Yorkshire gigs. I reckon he'd be like the next Sam Fender of York kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I was really buzzing to have him as a support act. And I think he'd have a few good stories to have on here. Mm-hmm. Northeast wise, we've mentioned before Charlotte Grayson is one of the greatest little songwriters of the Northeast.
She played the shop. She was absolutely lovely. I'm sure she'd had like a difficult time getting to Newcastle.
But she's Hartlepool based, so she can kind of weird, I don't think.
Amazing songwriter.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that songwriting.
I was doing a gig in Peterlee a couple of weeks ago with the band, and we were setting up, and I was singing along to a song that was in the background, and I was like, I recognise this song, and I realised I was singing one of her songs. It was Drunk Girls, I think it's called, and I was like, it's fucking crazy that she's on in like a random pub Spotify playlist. But
really
Northeast,
really good band from Peterlee called Vice Killer.
I'd say Charlotte Grayson. If you want Charlotte Grayson, we should ask her on. I'm sure she'd be alright to come on, to be fair.
somebody wants to finish early, don't they?
I really need to solid, if I'm honest. I really need to solid.
I'm just going to finish that answer with a band called the Avalons. I think they'd be good
yes,
together.
Oh,
good choice.
yeah. Alright.
Go away, James. I'll
That's
sort the rest
alright,
out.
it's alright.
Thank you very much for coming down, Rich.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down, James.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for coming down, Ashley. Thank you for listening. If you want to follow us on Instagram, we are Off The Stage UK on everything, bar Twitter, Off The Stage 2. Email us, offthestage@gmail.com, if you've got any queries, artists you want to put forwards. If you're a musician that wants to come on the podcast, ask James. He books everybody, so you'll be waiting to 2032, but you'll be on the podcast. James, calm the fuck down with that. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you very much.
Drop HMV Newcastle to follow. It's the best one.
Sorry, I'm just eating me gummy beans.
We'll all watch James when he finishes this.
There we go. I'm done, am I? So am I ending this? Don't you just look at us? I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do here? Anyway, we'll see you next week. Cheers. That one.
I said we'll watch James.
Hi, I'm Ollie Mers, and you've been listening to Off the Stage podcast. I love it. Go listen, it's fantastic.